on the harder compound first to be Miata in 10th position.
We will look out to see how Ritomo Miata gets on, but that's a real shame. Heartbreak for Sebastian Montoya. He looks like he's going to be on his own on the front row, but alongside him will be Dino Beganovic. He took the first Aramco pole position in FIA Formula 2. A great result for Dino Beganovic, who took that first pole position, and we caught up with him on Friday after qualifying when he was handed that Aramco pole position from Bruno Michel.
It feels like home, home race, favorite track as well. Good memories. I took my first pole here in F4 as well, so no, I'm really happy with this. It's been a bit of a long time coming. I feel like it's the right moment to do it, start the European season here, and looking just for a clean start, and then obviously a smart and strategic race.
Well, a clean start is what he wants. It's been a really difficult pole position here in previous years. As of yesterday inclusive, no Formula 2 race in the current era has been won for pole position. You're well offline on the left-hand side. You are slightly ahead, but drivers, when they're running lap on lap here, tend to hug the pit wall on the inside. It's what I'd call an old Suzuka pole here, where you are ahead, you are on the inside line for the first corner, but you're well off the race line, and that can be conducive to not getting the best launch. There we have Sebastian Montoya after losing the engine early on before the formation lap. What a shame.
And what makes it worse is he's on the super soft tyre. It's not like he's on the soft tyre, which drivers may be around him as well. Real shame for him. Okay, welcome to Formula 2. Welcome to round 4. This our feature race, 35 laps ahead. Points to your top 10, similar to what we have in Formula 1. 25 going to your winner. DRS will be activated down here at the end of lap 1. Pit stops can happen at the end of 6 laps. There is our green flag on the front row, all by himself. Your first Swedish pole sitter in FIA Formula 2, Dino Beganovic. We are go for round 4 in the feature race in Formula 2, and we have a staller from the second row, which is Victor Martins. He will have to get off the line quickly. It looks like he's stationary on the start-finish straight, but out front, Leo Fornaroli trying to take the lead away from Dino Beganovic as they go in towards Tamburello. For the first time, it's Beganovic leading the Italian, Leo Fornaroli, and then Arvid Lindblad, the Red Bull Junior, is in third, and this fight continuing all the way down to Villeneuve. Alex Brundle.
Big challenge from Fornaroli, even from fourth on the grid there, as he got side by side with the Ferrari Junior down towards Tamburello. They're all being incredibly well behaved, but as I say that, one of the Tridents bounces wide.
One of the Tridents indeed going wide there. We can see Sebastian Montoya released out of pit lane there as they make their way up the hill now. It was Sami Megatunov who went wide, and there we have Victor Martins. He could have taken the championship lead with a win here, but he is being rolled back into pit lane.
Two of the main players in this race, this feature race, out before it's really begun, and that's another disaster for Victor Martins, with all of the opportunity to take the position that he finally would have wanted in the championship. They bounce over the curbs of the Variante Alta for the first time and start to string out between the two turns of Ravazza, but we've lost two potential race winners very early on.
That driver can also take the championship lead as well, Leo Fornaroli, and he can do it on home soil. We still have a long way to go in this race though. Joshua Dirksen knows all about that. He drove to the podium here last year. He's already up to P8 as they make their way down to Tamburello, firing past the pit wall. So on to lap 2 we go. It's Beganovic leading Fornaroli, leading Lindblad. We have to watch for the drivers on the alternative strategy as well, as we see Alex Dunn. He's up to P4 in this race now, behind Arvid Lindblad.
Yeah, look there at Miata. There he is, in the white and black machine, and he is the driver who's taking that soft compound tyre. He's got a bit of a gaggle of drivers behind him as well on a similar tyre, up to 7th position at the start. So let's see what kind of pace he has and see how quickly the super soft falls away. They've got to look after this soft compound tyre. Long way to go here, 35 laps. Pirelli are telling us that the super soft will last a couple more laps maybe than the iteration of the super soft last year, but it's still a very long stint that needs to be achieved on one of the softest tyres available in the championship.
As you point out, Alex, that's our alternative strategy battle here, being led by Miata in the Toyota livery. Dirksen is second in that.
Dunn, McLaren Jr., had immense pace yesterday, driving through the field, seemed really confident in the car. One of the drivers who really moved forward in the sprint race, and as did Lindblad. Those two, line astern in the race, third and fourth, Campos and Rodin running the two cars, and they were really the danger men over 25 laps on the soft tyre.
Our championship leader, Richard Verschoor, is right in the middle of that in the orange MP. Pepe Marti needs to move forward as well, and he's doing just that. He's the Red Bull Junior, fourth in queue, and Pepe Marti in the fight for the championship. He's third in the standings. He's got DRS now to the yellow Invicta of Roman Stanek, and he's going to execute a move. Round the outside he goes, and Pepe Marti doing exactly what he needs to do in this race. He's moving forward. He's up 2 places in the space of just over 2 laps.
Marti penalised yesterday after a collision with Mini exactly here in the Villeneuve chicane. Will be looking to try to gather as many points as he possibly can after not scoring yesterday. Looking back over the rear wing of Miata at Dirksen, who's had strong pace all weekend long. They're stuck in a little bit of a DRS train, but there's more wind today down that front straight. It seemed to make DRS much more powerful in Formula 3. Let's see what they've got in F2. Swinging around in terms of its gusts, though. 1 minute you get a headwind, 1 minute you get a tailwind. They might get a bit of variable performance from the drag reduction system.
And Miata has lost that DRS to Browning ahead, so he is going to be left very vulnerable here. Out front, Fornaroli has the DRS. You have to be within 1 second to the driver ahead. We're seeing the relative gaps to drivers ahead to the left.
So that's Martins who lost the car, who lost the engine on the start line, and is just there. He is. You can see, look, Beganovic wanting him to get out of the way as quickly as possible. Peak pace on the soft tyre, 30.6. On the super soft tyre, I should say, 30.6. Miata 2 seconds behind that as we see the move then from Dirk making through past Miata.
And that's a key move. These are the drivers running that alternative strategy, and Dirksen has gone by. You feel Marty's about to go next, and this is one of the Trident cars battling away with the Van Amersfoort car. Sami Megatunev, who we saw bouncing over the gravel early on, he's now recovering from that. He's 15th, just gone past Rafael Villagomez. Let's look back at the race start and what happened to Victor Martins.
I thought he'd be unopposed at the front of the field, Dino Beganovic. There you can see Victor Martins struggling to get away from the line. Dunn gets swallowed up a little bit as well, but it's a monster start from Fornaroli, who almost makes it down the outside. Beganovic has to be brave on the brakes. You've got Goethe battling away. He's in the Red Bull livery machine between the two Alpine cars towards the middle of the pack. Let's see how it looked from Alex Dunn's road in, as you're going to watch Fornaroli on the right-hand side get an absolutely beautiful launch into the slipstream, and watch him go down the outside of the leader, Dino Beganovic. Here's Miata, the first driver on that soft tyre. He was up a couple of positions from 10th to 7th after this start, and so has dropped now down to 8th position as a result of losing out to Joshua Dirksen. That's Sami Megatunev dancing over the outside grass and gravel with a little error in the Villeneuve chicane.
That's Victor Martins then. He is almost going to be a lap down, and this is Fornaroli having to defend from Arvid Lindblad. He fell just short of a win yesterday, Arvid Lindblad. If he had a couple more laps, he could have possibly won that race. He was 1.1 seconds back from Jack Crawford at the flag. And he's coming through Villeneuve now. Arvid Lindblad is starting to show really good pace. He is faster than the two leaders by around 0.4 of a second. Does Arvid Lindblad start to make his move now?
So Martins...
Yeah.
We are on it.
If there is any kind of safety car here, Martins is not going to want to go a lap down if he can help it. So if he can stay out of range of the blue flag, he's going to do so. Of course, the leaders of the race, and probably race control, want him to jump out of the way. But if he's got the leader's pace and can stay out there, then... He will try to do so as soon as is the tendency in single-seater racing of this level, as soon as he gets the blue flag, he has to release. You can't pass more than 3 before you have to relinquish track position. Let's watch Lindblad down towards Ravazza with DRS available this time. I don't think Beganovic is going to be close enough to Martins to pick it up. That won't keep him out of trouble from the cars behind.
He's sounding very unsettled in that car, isn't he? But this is very close between Lindblad and Fornaroli. We're getting towards pit stop range. Lindblad will want to get these moves done now before we get into the pits. Fornaroli is trying to break the toe. Down to Tamburello. Lindblad sees a gap on the inside. Fornaroli was quick to cover that off. Look how close we are between the top three in this Formula 2 feature race. Out of Tamburello we go. Alex Dunn right there. Crawford right there. It is 5-6 for the lead down to Villeneuve.
Shows you how much they're managing the tyre. Look how much more performance Fornaroli had on the brake pedal there and on turning than he was using lap on lap. Put him under pressure and suddenly you see them use all of the grip available. So lots of management going on. Lap 6, now's the moment they can relinquish that super soft tyre if they want to, but it gives them horrible work to do on the soft for the rest of the race. Longer pit lane, we should say here, than we have usually in Formula 2. It's the longest pit lane of the year, 25-second drive through, and then the 10 seconds tax for a Formula 2 pit stop. So you're looking at 35 seconds in terms of a stop in comparison to the usual 30.
Crawford is looking very, very quick in P5. He's not alone either with Browning. This is great stuff, isn't it? 6 for the lead in Formula 2. Dirksen is leading the next race, if you like. Pepe Marti has cycled his way up to P8 in that battle. Down the hill we go, and Alex Dunn is feeling the need to defend now because Jack Crawford is all over the back of him, out of Ravazza 2. Will we see anyone come into the pits and get out of this? Yes, Fornaroli in, Lindblad in, Dunn in.
Yeah, so those are the first pit takers then, have given themselves more to do later on. So you've got the leader of the race as well in, Dino Beganovic making his way down. Drivers now will be pushing for all their worth to try to get the overcut done on this super soft tyre.
Oh no, and Beganovic had to be held there for Ollie Goethe. Now, will that change things in pit lane? Ollie Goethe, he had to pause for him, but Alex Dunn is still behind him. Does Fornaroli get the jump? No. In fact, he's going to drop back behind Alex Dunn, so he's lost out. Fornaroli is cycled back behind one of the Red Bull Juniors, Arvid Lindblad, as well. So Fornaroli losing 2 places. Alex Dunn has effectively cycled up to P2, so great stop from the Rodin team.
That's the benefit. That's the benefit of being earlier in the pit lane. If you get your pit stop done, then drivers behind you are forced to wait until you've cleared their pit box. Now it's a question of how quickly they can get this soft compound tyre up to temperature in what is a much cooler track temp than it was yesterday. 32 degrees only. It's around 6 degrees cooler than it was yesterday. This is the defining moment of a Formula 2 race, and where there are seconds, not tenths, to be won and lost.
And you saw the reaction from the Campos team. They were punching the air as they saw Lindblad leave ahead of Fornaroli. That's all the work they put in pit stop practice. Okay, we need to watch Crawford and Browning. Are they going to come this lap, next lap? Will they even try and take it longer on this soft compound tyre? Here they come, and where will they come out relative to those drivers? They are in this lap, Alex.
So this is the Formula 2 style overcut. You try and go quickly while drivers are bringing their tyre up to temperature. Then get in, get out, and get your elbows out to try and hold track position if humanly possible. We've got Crawford in, we've got Vershaw in as well from the middle of the pack. Sami Megatuniv has also been in and out after his little scamper across the grass early on.
That was a good stop from Luke Browning. Jack Crawford a little bit behind as he releases, so Luke Browning ahead now of Jack Crawford. So that was a really good stop from the high-tech team. Jack Crawford losing a little bit of time in pit lane there. Wow, where are they going to be in terms of the other drivers? Let's have a look to the right-hand side of screen and see where they come out. There is Luke Browning, there is Jack Crawford. Here come the rest of the queue, and they have done it, have they? It's going to be a race down to Tamburello. Dino Beganovic goes by. Luke Browning is into the race lead. Alex Dunn is going to go into what will be an effective second place, side by side, and Dino Beganovic gets his elbows out just to hang on to that position ahead of Alex Dunn. And now weaving furiously is Luke Browning, because he knows this could be the race lead.
Robust racing, as that's got Browning out of jail free, side by side behind him as he brings his tyre in. Is Beganovic going to go all the way around the outside of Tozer? Dunn ushers him, Browning ushers him off the road there, and Beganovic demoted behind Alex Dunn.
Elbows out stuff from Luke Browning, who passes Dino Beganovic off onto the grass there at Toza, fighting for the lead of this race. Alex Dunn picks up a position now and gets himself into second in this six-way fight for what could be the lead of the race come the end of this Formula 2 feature. Down to Variante, out we go now. Alex Dunn will have DRS, Luke Browning will not. He's going to be a sitting duck going down to Tamburello, and Dino Beganovic will want revenge.
It's fallen apart through the pit stop process for Dino Beganovic. Came in with a comfortable lead, and now he finds himself having to battle with all of these other feisty chargers in the mid-pack.
They've got to be careful as well. They don't fight too much. Remember the other drivers pulling off a longer strategy. Pepe Marti now leading that fight ahead of Joshua Dirksen. Down to Tamburello we go. And there is DRS open for the papaya of Alex Dunn. He's closing in. Luke Browning looking in his mirrors. And there comes Alex Dunn to the outside of the circuit. Hard on the brakes he goes. And he takes the position away from Luke Browning. It's worked perfectly for the Rodin Motorsport team. A quick pit stop, quickly ties up to temperature. And he's taken himself through to the effective lead of the race.
Yeah, massive efficiency down the front straight on the DRS, on the better line there, and with a little bit more tyre temperature as well. Let's see what's gone on with Invicta. And this is a slightly slow stop for Leonardo Fornaroli that's put him further back in that pack than he'd want to be, running in net 16th place. Or a 16th place on the road, but it's the rear, critically, of that leading pack after he was way more in the hunt before he came in the pit lane.
And there we saw, that's how Lindblad got out ahead of him, and that's where the reaction came. This was the move between Beganovic and Browning.
Yeah, so Beganovic needs to get his front axle alongside Browning by the apex there, by the guidelines, in order to deserve racing room on the exit. I don't think he's quite far enough around. So as robust as it looks, I think Browning's justified in taking the line to the exit there.
You're never going to let a driver go around the outside of you like that for what could be the effective lead, are you, at Toza? So Browning, they're doing what was necessary to hold on to that position.
We should have set up now. Let's focus on tire management. Everything is open now. Yeah, we're fast. Let's go get them.
Well, he was fast yesterday. They look like they have a good race car underneath them on exactly this tyre. Arvid Lindblad still in the hunt for the victory. Let's see what kind of speed Dunn now has in this group. They are 38 seconds behind Pepe Marti, who leads the race. That's enough for a pit stop at the moment, but of course they are on a much younger set of soft tyres, this group. So in theory should scream up to the back of the pack, who are starting on that harder compound tyre. It's a really close race, even on the stopwatch here, between what is better, the alternative strategy or the traditional strategy, which is the softest compound first. Which strategy is quicker depends on exactly the circuit layout, the fuel loads, and that effect on tyre management. But let's see.
This is Roman Stanek going by Ritomo Miata, or will he go by? Let's have a look. Yes, he does on the brake. So Roman Stanek pulling off that move. That takes him to third place in the race. But this is working well for Pepe Marti and Joshua Dirksen. That six-way fight we are having is just slowing that train down. And those drivers out front, if Dirksen just stays behind Pepe Marti and ticks off the laps, they could start bringing themselves into play here in terms of the overall battle for the lead in those top six. Let's keep an eye on that gap between Dunn and Marti, especially if this fight continues at such an intensity.
Yeah, quick check-in with both of those fights. Ritomo Miata struggling again a little bit for pace, isn't he? In the middle of that pack. Roman Stanek making the move around the outside. Yesterday's pole position starter, who didn't perhaps convert it into the performance that he might have wanted. Looking at the pace between the two gaggles of cars here, the drivers who've stopped are in the 31s, in the low 31s. Drivers who haven't stopped in the low 32s. It's about 8 tenths between them a lap. It should be enough, but it's going to be closer than they might like.
Oh,
between those who haven't.
That was a big moment. Big moment for Dunn. I think he knows. I think the teams are saying to them, look, you need to close this gap down, stop fighting and get on with it, essentially.
Yeah, that little bit of battling we saw yesterday. Drivers who pushed early in the soft tyre stint really struggle. This is Montoya, is it? And Megatunic just having a bit of a tussle down towards the Variante Alta. Both drivers with their various scrapes, unfortunately, at the beginning of this one. Montoya not getting off the line for the formation lap.
Around the outside then, that's Esterson. That's Megatunif again, actually, going past the Van Amersfoort. So he's making lots of moves today, is Sami Megatunif. Fighting his way up the order, and that was by Rafael Villagomez. Seems to have settled down slightly. I think they know the task at hand, and this is going to be a race that sorts itself out position-wise a bit later on, but hard to do that as a racing driver, to be told to follow the driver ahead. Lindblad knows that he's got the pace to possibly make some positions.
Well, it's easy to be told, it's hard to listen. as a racing driver, to be told you need to not pass the car ahead of you, what you're exactly hardwired to do. But the team will be on the phone, and that's why you know, you've got to trust sometimes the engineer in the pit lane, who's seen, of course, multiple years of this type of racing, especially if you're somebody like Dino Viganovic. Found your way onto pole position with no driver next to you to oppose you, and now you're a little bit further down, battling over a net race lead. You've got to breathe and believe a little bit and not rinse this set of soft tyres, because you're going to need them later on in the race.
Down the start-finish straight, Pepe Marti now has got Dirksen all over the back of him. Pepe Marti likes starting 11th. He went from 11th to the victory at Bahrain, and Dirksen likes this place. He took a podium position here last year and had huge celebrations afterwards, even congratulated by the president of Paraguay for his performances around the Villeneuve chicane and towards Tosa. Stanek doing a great job here as well. He's closing in on these two. He's got past Miata, and now he's trying to close that gap down. There's clear pace in that Invicta car.
They're working a little better, that group that are on the lead in the road. Dirksen within DRS, but at the moment choosing not to be too aggressive towards Pepe Marti. And as always in these Formula 2 feature races, we have two trains that are essentially battling each other, while they also battle within their individual groups.
And what happens when those trains merge is going to be the question.
Well, someone wins.
Exactly.
So we need to work out who that's going to be. Done. 35 seconds. That is extremely close if we add warm up the tyre tags that we've already seen play out between the drivers that stopped on lap 6 and the drivers that stopped on lap 7. That is extremely close to now being within a pit stop window of those who are still out pounding round on their original set of softs.
Fornaroli there, just in behind Lindblad. He lost a couple of positions in pit lane. Right, Dirksen behind Pepe Marti for what is the lead of the race on track. He's going to go to the outside and just staying in for the time being. They cannot afford to lose time, these two. They cannot afford to fight, so it'll be a case of choosing who's going to do the leading and who's going to do the following. For now, it is Marti who is leading this race.
Rear guard action again for Miata with the two Alpine juniors behind him. Miney found himself off in qualifying, losing his fastest lap, but he's having a decent performance here. And Gabriele Mini involved in that contact yesterday, but trying to make as much progress as he possibly can. Done now. Going to be under pressure is Ephraim Browning, who has managed to stay with him after losing the lead after having pitted. But this group all staying together with the benefit of a headwind and relatively strong DRS down the front straight. Ganovic still in the wheel tracks.
Round Tosa we go, and we should mention that you know, this is wide open now in terms of this championship as well. Our championship leader, Richard Verschoor, as a reminder, is down in 21st place. Pepe Marti, third in the championship, is our leader on track. We got Leo Fornaroli. Oh no! And now this could change things, because we've got a yellow flag out for Rafael Villagomez, and there is heavy damage to the front left of that car. Yeah,
that could easily be a safety car. Or indeed a virtual one. Reminder, drivers cannot pit under the virtual safety car. They can pit under the safety car, but that's not really in anybody's pit window, is it? It's way too far to take the super soft tyre to the end of the race. Dirksen to the outside.
Dirksen goes by into the lead of the race by Pepe Marti. So Dirksen choosing to go by and just gets by before we reach those yellow flags.
Did he get by before we reach the yellow flags?
Well,
I think so. It would be interesting to see that one again. I'm sure we will. Dirksen doing the move into Tamburello with yellow flags on the Tamburello exit, and we'll see that move play out. Jumping back on board with Dino Beganovic in this gaggle. Looking at the rear wing of Williams Junior Luke Browning. It's for when you pass the yellow flag that racing must be neutralised, and surely a safety car.
Yeah,
or a stoppage of some sort for a driver wandering about in the runoff area.
Yeah, you think a virtual safety car at minimum here should be coming out now. That's what happened to Rafael Villagomez.
Yeah, so a bit of contact, scuffle with Megatuniff, who's been making moves, and I think Megatuniff's far enough ahead to own the racetrack there.
Safety car deployed.
Good. Yeah, safety car deployed. Had a young driver standing in the gravel trap with cars going by under a double yellow flag there.
Not what we want to see.
Yeah, I have contact. He just ran me off.
Well, bit of a racing incident, that one. Safety car deployed then. We've got Mini and Bennett have jumped to the pit lane.
Well, there we go. So they're choosing to come in whilst the safety car is out, but they're putting the super soft tyre on, and they're going to have to go a long way on those tyres.
It's a nothing to lose move, isn't it? It's a nothing to lose move. Throw the super soft on. That is longer. That is way longer than that tyre is designed to go. But if you've got nothing to lose, then chuck it on, have the free pit stop and go for it.
Well, what we should say is this, you know, the incident aside, this does not work out well for those drivers leading the race at all, because the gap they did have, that 35-second gap they had, now closes right up, and they essentially have to go about trying to build that gap up again. So effectively, this has worked into the favour of what was our lead queue at the start, Dirksen and Marty. Now we'll still lead the race, but we have to remember they have to still pit, and the gap to the drivers who have pitted is only going to be the space of a few cars.
For the yellow, definitely didn't leave.
Okay, so they'll be checking the sectors and working out that one. But so you're absolutely right, Chris. So the race now. Obviously, Mini and Bennett, having pitted, are curveballs to the whole proceedings. The race now, in reality, is going to be between the Dunn, Browning, Beganovic, Lindblad gaggle that start in P8 with Alex Dunn sitting in his road in and go backwards from there. The reason for that is we've obviously lost any advantage that those who have yet to pit would have had. And so they are going to have to basically owe the whole field what is quite a long pit stop. We've got someone else as a bit of a pit caller as well. That's Miney, who's come in. But to all intents and purposes, they've got a decision to make here. Either they definitely lose out front, having given away their pit stop to the rest of the field, or they take what is a pretty unworkable gamble and try and get the car back out there on the super soft and just see if it lasts, but it doesn't.
No, I mean, all they can really hope for is some other kind of stoppage in this race so they can get back up to the pack again if they're going to choose to stay out. Kushmani, I think, is doing going to try and go longer on those tyres and hope we get the race neutralised at some point in this race, because going this long on those tyres is going to be very difficult.
Interestingly though, Mini on what are qualified set of super softs has just dropped now in to 10th position.
Yes.
He's unlikely to be able to take those tires to the end of the race and do anything in terms of results. But what he can be is a massive problem.
Yes, that's
for everybody in that front group. For Beganovic, for Browning, for Dunn.
Mini behind Dino is on option loop. So if at the start he's quick, he's got a long way to go.
Yeah. So don't race Mini too hard and let him come back to you, is going to be the feeling. Victor Martins may now overtake the safety car. He can get his lap back. We'll still be on the rear of the field in what's been a difficult day for Martins, but had decent pace. Still has the fastest lap for when he was trying to stay out of the way early on in the race. So we'll get his lap back.
Well, the top 6 effectively haven't pitted. We've got the top driver who pitted in that alternative strategy, Mini, slotted in there in what was that lead group of 6 now, 4th in queue. And Dirksen is choosing to go on. The incident that has brought out this safety car, which was between Villagomez and Megatunic, with Villagomez off, has been noted.
You report Dirksen for not lifting on the yellow. Yes. Now we know it, now we are reporting it.
What the team want now is for the driver to focus on the restart, the management of the tyre, and everything else. So whether they have or they haven't, they'll say they have.
Yeah. Exactly that.
It's one of those where you can either explain it to the driver who's sitting in the car, you want to focus on something else, or you can just go yes.
Yeah.
So they'll say yes. Team will be.
Yeah.
If there is any advantage, the team will be going for it and trying to, of course, plead their case to race control. Villagomez and Megatunic will be investigated after the race. That's the cause of this stoppage.
Okay, well, let's see what happens when we go racing again. And it looks like that will probably happen this time around. Yes, the incident's been cleared. So for Dirksen and Marty, they're just going to have to try and go for it. But the interesting fight will be that fight for 7th, Alex, and we've got Mini, who is going to be trying to clear his way through that, and that could cause a little bit of a situation in that fight.
Pincer movement on the battle for the top 3. Dunn, Browning, Beganovic, 7th, 8th and 9th. You've got Mini behind who will be faster. You've got Estenson and Cordeal ahead who will be slower. This is a big problem for Dunn, who needs to work all of his race car, all of his racecraft muscles here to try and move through the pack without losing position to those he's really racing behind.
Of course, we have this race for the lead, but watch for the papaya car of Alex Dunn, because he could be our effective race leader in just a few laps' time when these guys come in. The top 6 still need to pit. The leading driver who has pitted is that McLaren liveried car in P7. Okay, down the hill we go. We ride on board with Stanek, and we look like we are about to go racing. Green flags are back out, safety car is in, and we are back racing for round 4 here at Imola in this Formula 2 feature race. Down to Tamburello we go, and Alex Dunn straight away in the papaya trying to clear Max Esterson. He needs to get on the move. This is an opportunity for Luke Browning. Are we going to go 3 wide into Tamburello? Possibly. Alex Dunn has done what he needed to do. He's got a car between himself and the rest of that lead pack.
Almost got caught out there, Dunn. You cannot pass under a safety car before you reach that control line, and had to back out of it slightly. Now it's going to be Browning down the inside of Esterson. No, he can't get the move done and has to wait. A critical moment in this race, that.
And look at this now. Esterson is holding these guys up, and Mini is going down the inside of Dino Beganovic, his former teammate. They're side by side making their way up the hill. Dino Beganovic side by side with the Alpine livery car of Gabriele Mini, who's on faster tyres. That's a brave move from Gabriele Mini, and it looks like Browning has now cleared Esterson, the Williams Jr., and now he's going to try and get away. Esterson holding these guys up because he is on older tyres, and that means we have a real fight going on. Mini trying to make places, and look at Alex Dunn. He's now on the attack of his teammate Amaury Cordeal.
So aggressive down to the Variante Alta. He needs to put cars, if he can, between himself and the pursuers, and that's the strategy that's working. Beganovic still yet to clear Esterson, and he's going to be under the attentions of Mini. Now he's making the move down the outside of Ravazza. That one's unlikely to work out, is it? Esterson cedes the position, and Beganovic able to get a good run onto that front straight. So important for the continuation of his race.
That was brave stuff from Dino Beganovic. He knew he had to get it down. DRS will be open next time around we come here. Right, Luke Browning is going to try and get by Amaury Cordeal. Could he do his teammate a favour and get on the defensive into Tamburello? That's exactly what he does. Amaury Cordeal just getting on the defensive there for Luke Browning, and that's allowing his teammate Alex Dunn just to break away slightly.
DRS enabled this time will be helping these leaders move through the pack a lot next time they come across the line. There's only one zone to use, down towards turn 1, but they'll be very, very glad of it because they'll have better traction off that final corner, the second Ravazza, and hopefully be able to make a lot more progress.
Lindblad, now the Red Bull Junior, needs to get by Max Esterson. He's got Fornaroli behind as well, and this could be a problem here for Luke Browning. Amaury Cordeal is teammates with Alex Dunn. he could cause a problem for Luke Browning as they come down to Aqua Minerale.
And Amaury Cordial is under no circumstances required to get out of the way here. They're racing for position. They're 6th and they're 7th in the race. Cordial can block to his heart's content. He's not in for a result here, but he can play a real role for the team.
He really can, and that would be a great result for them. He was the one coming through the field last year on an alternative strategy. It hasn't quite worked for them in terms of that safety car this year, but could he help his teammate Alex Dunn get a gap over the rest of the field? Down the field, down towards Rivazza we come. Max Esterson we see in the Trident there, just creating a gap to the rest of the leaders.
Yeah, these two drivers getting left out here. Lindblad and Fornaroli both have had so much pace, they've yet to clear Esterson. They're going to have to use the DRS this time around. Critically, Esterson dropping outside of a second of Gabriele Mini.
And Amaury Cordial once again defending from Luke Browning into Tamburello, and this is breaking DRS to Alex Dunn. There goes Arvid Lindblad by Max Esterson.
Yeah, Lindblad's made the move, but Fornaroli hasn't, so they're each taking their turn to pass the cars that are not on the tyre, which is as young. Fornaroli's going to get held up now through the Villeneuve chicane and in turn lose a little bit of time to Lindblad. Thinks about it on his way down to Toza, but just not enough space to slot the car up the inside there.
Fornaroli in that yellow Invicta trying to get by Max Esterson, who's running his own race, and now Crawford looks to the outside of Fornaroli, side by side up to Piratella we go. Can't quite make the move. Kushmaini is now right behind as well. He's also made a stop in this race. He's put on super soft tyres, has a long way to go though as they head through Aqua Minerale now and up towards the Variante Alta. The gap is growing between the likes of Dunn, Cordial, Browning still trying to get through as they head over the chicane now.
Trying to make their way through. Cordial still between Browning and Dunn, the two Roding cars working together here, the two high-tech cars behind. But it is Cordial still parking his car in the way. Fornaroli is the yellow car you can see on your screen, the Formula 3 Championship winner from last year, the driver who was hoping to take the championship lead in this exact race, but he can't make the move past Esterson. 1/10 of a second is the gap though as they come onto the start-finish straight. Back to the lead of the race, and we can see this battle, which will be for naught when they eventually have to peel off and pit.
It certainly will be, and this could be a big move here. If Alex Dunn can get two cars between himself and Browning, it would be a significant moment in this race, and to possibly him going on to take his second win of the season. He makes his way down to Toza and throws it down the inside of Ritomo Miata. There's almost contact between the pair. Brave stuff, but I think Alex Dunn knows there's a big opportunity here to go and get another car between himself and the rest of the pack.
Do or be done is exactly what they're saying, isn't it? Down at Rodin, because the more cars he can put between himself and the pursuing drivers, but he needs to be so careful here. He's got a lovely situation, teammate rear gunning behind. One rash move on a driver ahead could cost him what could be a great victory here. Ritomo Miata has been struggling a little bit all weekend long. Super GT champion though, will know how to race wheel to wheel. Pretty sensible customer. Going to be interesting to see how hard he fights Alex Dunn here. Dunn's going to have a lot of pace as he comes onto that front straight, but Miata could well have DRS from the cars ahead, and that's the problem that they're going to have as these drivers come through to the quicker drivers at the head of the gaggle, as they're closer together and the DRS system is going to be available to the cars they're trying to pass.
Fight for the lead out front. Miata just held on to DRS from Stanek. Here we go for the lead out front. They're side by side. What about behind? Alex Dunn didn't quite get by Ritomo Miata. Dirksen and Marty nose to tail with each other, fighting away as they head down to Villeneuve now. Pepe Marty desperate to try and get by. They still need to come in and make their stop. Don't forget Alex Dunn, the leading driver, who is coming to the pits.
Why they're racing so hard is all is not absolutely lost for those on the alternative strategy. You could easily get another safety car back in their window on the perfect amount of laps for a super soft tyre and come charging through the field. Sounds strange, sounds bizarre, but we've seen stranger things happen in Formula 2. So they'll still battle away. It's a never give up mentality that so often wins these races.
Well, we've seen what happened in the pit lane with placement, having to wait for drivers to come through. If you're the first through into the pit lane, your team is working on your car first. If we get a safety car later in the race, we've seen what can happen. I remind you of Monaco last year, Zach O'Sullivan coming through right from the back, 15th to 1st. anything can happen in Formula 2. It is not over until it's over, as Kushmaini is now being told to swap positions over radio. Downhill we go into Rivazza and out onto the run to Tamburello. Dirksen still leading the way for the time being ahead of Pepe Marti. They'll go as long as they can before they need to make their stops. And in the background, that's the closest. In the blue Williams colours, Luke Browning has been to Amaury Cordeel. Is this the moment he gets by the Rodin Motorsport driver and gets after Alex Dunn? Here we go on the brakes into Tamburello, around the outside. Luke Browning has to make this move work and does so, and that's a critical moment in this race.
Beautiful move from Browning, braved it round the outside, and fair stuff, it must be said, at the eventual apex for Cordeel, who chose to give the correct racing room there. Browning makes his way through. Cordeel, though, really challenged him on the brakes. Beganovic will be up next. Alex Dunn to the inside of Miata in Tosa.
Great move, Willie. Tried that once. It was a dress rehearsal last time, to the move this time. And once again, Alex Dunn now has a car between himself and Miata. Beganovic side by side in the background with Amaury Cordeel. Does he make the move? No, not quite. I think he had to back out of it. He was almost on the grass coming up to Piratella. He now can see the likes of Browning and Dunn escaping up the road. But once again, we have a car between Dunn and Browning.
He's delivering moves on demand, isn't he, the McLaren Junior? Okay, got past that one. Okay, try this one.
There'll be another one next time, possibly.
Exactly. Snakes and ladders stuff as he tries to make his way through. Miata ceded the inside line to Alex Dunn on the way through. And an outside curb is always an interesting place to sit in Formula 2. A little bit of contact there.
Yeah, there was.
Between Dunn and Miata. So Dunn goes to the inside, Miata hangs it round the outside, and then it's a front wing end fence. They don't tend to be disastrous in terms of performance. You're going to see Dunn then go to the outside again once more down to Tamburello.
Another position made for Alex Dunn. He's really starting to come to form now in this race, doing what is needed to be done in this race to go after the top step. Two cars now between himself and Luke Browning. It's great stuff from the McLaren Junior, and he's now staring at a possible lead in this race on track before the other cars have even stopped. It's great driving from the young Irishman who took his first Formula 2 win in the feature race at Bahrain just a couple of rounds ago. Can he now return to the top step? Luke Browning will want to have something to say about that. He's going after his first Formula 2 win. So is Dino Beganovic. The high-tech pair are still in pursuit.
Well, we've reached the 25-lap max, haven't we? We've reached where they reached at the end of the sprint race yesterday with that original soft tyre. Those still running on it start to struggle. You can see the damage to the front tyres just as you could at the end of the sprint race yesterday, and that's why you're seeing drivers who have pitted like Dunn make their way through the field faster and faster as that tyre falls off a little bit of a cliff towards the end of its run.
And we'll consider Gabriele Mini. Don't forget, he stopped. He's on a different tyre, but should start to fall away. But he's still there for the time being. Let's consider that behind this driver here, Dino Beganovic. How long will his tyres survive? He's got Arvid Lindblad right behind. Arvid Lindblad will be looking to make that move next time. On board we go with Dino Beganovic down to Tamburello.
To do a lot of work on this soft tyre to make their way through the field. That's the only problem that they've got. How hard have they had to push them? How much have they had to slide them to make the moves work out?
Dino Beganovic trying to get by Amaury Cordeel once again in that silver high-tech. Can't quite get through the Ferrari driver. Academy member started this race from pole position. Wants to get by into the lead of the race once more. And Amaury Cordeel once again on the defensive, doing the work that is needed to be done for his teammate. Oh, we got some debris out there on the inside of the circuit from Rotoma Miata, and that is a move once again at Tosa from Alex Dunn. It's becoming his favourite overtaking spot. He clears Pepe Marti.
Lightning quick at the moment. The move, though, between Dunn and Miata has been noted for causing a collision. I think Dunn will be fine on that one. That was the one we saw replayed on the exit of Tosa, but another move being made. And let's have a look at this then on Pepe Marti. It's another overtake in a similar place, a shorter distance then to the inside of Tosa. Plenty of grip down there. Marti sees him coming, recognises that Dunn is not the driver that he's racing today, and a little bit of extra space given there, look, on the outside by the Irishman for Marti to just slot into to avoid contact this time around.
out of the final corner, and now this will be the moment. Alex Dunn takes the lead on the circuit. Joshua Dirksen, no DRS. Alex Dunn has it, and he will sail by into the lead of the race. Surely it's just going to be a case of driving by the AIX racing driver and the Irishman. Alex Dunn goes by into the lead of the race. He's done all the hard work that is necessary. He's pulled off all the overtakes, and now he has 3 cars between himself and what will be the chasing pack when all the pit stops are complete.
Lovely stuff, and a final move that worked out much easier than some of the others. And look at that, vaults to the top of the driver standings as we run in what's been a spectacular drive, built on racecraft, hasn't it? Still a decent way to go though. A lot can happen in the final few laps of a Formula 2 contest. How hard has he worked those tyres? That being said, look at the difference now in terms of track position for Alex Dunn. He's put 3 cars between himself and Browning. Dirksen, Marty and Stanek now in between he and the Williams Junior.
It's a great gap. He has a 3.2 second gap over Luke Browning, and Luke Browning, all he can hope for now is to try get these cars into the pit lane, out the way, and then go after it. Is there an argument Luke Browning is trying to save tyres and then close the gap, or is this just a masterclass from Alex Dunn in terms of getting cars out the way, doing the overtaking?
Everybody pitting in front of him would be the dream, but unfortunately it is a dream, because they're going to try and run these cars to the point where they might get a safety car to put them back in the action. That being said, if they're really struggling with the soft tyre, eventually they'll pit. But don't expect pit callers for maybe another lap or so. They're not just going to be diving out of Luke Browning's way.
Right, let's watch Lindblad versus Beganovic, because Lindblad has made his way up as well. That's going to be a fight that we can monitor as well. That's the Red Bull Junior, the second of them. He is starting to move his way up to the back of Beganovic. He got by Mini, who was in the way of him for a little while. Of course, his super soft tyres are now falling off a cliff, and now Lindblad at the back of that queue. This is going to be a significant fight when everyone comes into the pit lane, our effective fight for podium positions. Lindblad right behind Beganovic, who is stuck in this queue behind Amaury Cordial.
It's those who are not happy to just stick to the front wing down the inside in quite the same way that Alex Dunn has managed, but they've found themselves bottle stopped at the back of this queue. And Lindblad, who's had super pace all weekend in his Campos, looking now to try to gather a third Formula 2 podium of the year.
Down the hill, Dino Beganovic looking to return there. Can he get back onto the podium? Into Rivazza we go. The Swedish driver making history for his country in FIA Formula 2 yesterday. Out of Rivazza now, and he's been looking at the back of Amaury Cordial's car for a while. He will want to get by this time. If he doesn't, he's going to be under attack from Arvid Lindblad. Here we go, and Dino Beganovic is going to be to the outside of Amaury Cordial this time. Needs to get by, otherwise he will be under threat. Meanwhile, a little bit further up, Luke Browning has gone by Roman Stanek, and that is an important move for Dino Beganovic. He's got Amaury Cordial now between himself and Arvid Lindblad.
Finally makes the move on Amaury Cordial, who's rather the Minister of Defence, isn't he? Throughout this race, each driver who's come up to pass him has spent a little bit of time behind. Lindblad shapes to the inside. Cordial leaves a bit of space and has a bit of a moment, and that's going to gift Lindblad the position through the exit. Lindblad will now continue his pursuit of Dino Beganovic.
And Dino Beganovic, he won't be long now before he is towards the back of his teammate. Look out front though, look at the differences made for a clear track ahead. Alex Dunn, 4.6 seconds ahead of Joshua Dirksen. That is the difference of having a clear road. That is the difference of being brave in your approach, making the moves when those opportunities first come at you. And now he's almost 5 seconds clear of the race.
Yeah, Dunn's done it. It's his to lose.
Yeah.
At the moment, 4.8 clear of Dirksen, who needs to pit, and then 10ths all the way back to Browning, who is the driver who will really be challenging him. Browning in the blue car there, the Williams livery machine. 2 more moves to make until he's clear of this gaggle of traffic. One of those cars is going to box. That's Dirksen jumping out of the way in the AIX machine. So Marty will be the driver who keeps DRS from the activation point of Dirksen. Let's see what Browning can do. Shapes to the inside, and Marty very sensible in the end.
And Browning goes by. Beganovic trying to get by Roman Stanek, but can't quite get through. And now he's under attack from Arvid Lindblad. So this battle has resumed between Beganovic and Lindblad. It's going to be for the last step on the podium, and Beganovic desperately trying to get through as Gabriele Mini is back in for a second pit stop. And this is just in the hope that we have a late safety car.
Now, didn't have a two-stopper on my strategy simulation, but it was worth a go from where Gabriele Mini was in the race.
And Pepe Marti now being instructed to come into pit lane, so he will come in from third on track. Roman Stanek will be the last driver out there to come into pit lane. Will he follow Pepe Marti in? And this will be the fight for third place between Dino Beganovic and Arvid Lindblad. Luke Browning, you feel the gap is just too big for him now. He has a clear road to Alex Dunn, but the gap 5.6 seconds. Alex Dunn executed those moves when he had the opportunity, and he's made the gap as well.
The problem Beganovic has got here is Marty and Stanek in front of him are going to pit out of the way and rob him of the DRS here. So Beganovic, when the two cars in front of him then pit, is going to lose the DRS and then be under greater pressure from behind. He gets it at the activation point despite the car pitting, but then on the next lap he's in trouble.
Yeah, precisely that. So for now, Roman Stanek being ahead of him isn't a huge problem, because he can stay ahead of Arvid Lindblad. Can he put a car between himself and Arvid Lindblad? He has to get by now, Dino Beganovic, to do it, and yes, he's done it. Great move from Dino Beganovic, and he's got by Roman Stanek. That is now a car between himself and Arvid Lindblad. Arvid Lindblad will have to make the move on this lap before we get to DRS.
That, of course, being the other way to do it. Just clear the car and make a gap, and that gap needs to be as big as possible. What Beganovic will be trying to do now is, while Stanek is holding up Lindblad, clear a second to keep him out of trouble. What can Lindblad do through this tight and twisty middle sector? Surely not the inside of Piratella for Arvid Lindblad. Thinks better of it.
He certainly had a big think about it, though, didn't he? Trying to force Roman Stanek into a mistake, and it's bringing Leo Fornaroli back into play here. So the Italian driver who fell back in the pit stop phase is right there as well. He's going to move up to 5th place overall, and then Jack Crawford also there as well. So this fight for the last step on the podium is going to be between 4 drivers at minimum.
This is the moment where you feel like trying to reach into the cockpit of the Invicta ahead of you and go, my tyres are ruined, I want to pit, to try to bring about a pit stop. Anything to get out of my way. I want to be on the Formula 2 podium. Let's see if Stanek comes in this time. Well, I think we're expecting him into the pit lane. No, they've changed their mind, we're being told, on the pit wall at Invicta. So Lindblad's going to have to do it on the track. He's going to have massive overspeed in order to do so.
Through he goes, but what is the damage in terms of the gap to Beganovic? In just one lap, he lost 2 seconds. So now he has to try and close that gap down. Has that lap secured, and that move that Dino Beganovic did at Tamburello, did that move just secure him the podium?
I wonder why they held him out there with Leonardo Fornaroli trying to catch up with Arvid Lindblad, and I wonder if Roman Stanek might just dive out of the way and into the pit lane now.
Yeah, well, or just dive out the way now and let him go through, because Leo Fornaroli is going to lose the same amount of time. He's going to lose 2 seconds here to Arvid Lindblad. You think that they just let him go through here, because Jack Crawford is all over the back of him, and Ollie Girth is now coming into play.
Yeah, drivers drive for themselves in Formula 2, but in the circumstances where Stanek's well out of it, I'm surprised they've not moved him here.
A great recovery as well for Sebastian Montoya. He's up to P9. Richard Verschoor is up to P10, the championship leader as well. Sebastian Montoya, who was in the pit lane at the start.
Yeah, of course, benefiting from the safety car, deleting all the gaps mid-race, and then getting the moves done. Out front, we've not seen him for a little while. 5.4 seconds now, the gap from Dunn to Browning, and from a very congested race to a very quiet one. Finally then, Stanek pits out of the way and releases Fornaroli, but not with the gap that he wants to Lindblad, and actually there has put pressure on Fornaroli by Crawford, who's made his way through nicely.
This is a great performance from Sebastian Montoya, coming back through the order. Richard Verschoor there as well. So Crawford now right there. There he is. Well, what a recovery drive this is. Stalled from the front row, but has not given up in this race. He's now P8, staring at a possible chance to fight for 5th place.
Now at the right time in the pit stops, and then has speed, has made the moves. Lovely stuff from Montoya. Not the result he would have been dreaming of at the start of the day, but in the circumstances, great stuff.
He will only feel now what could have been with the pace he's demonstrating out there on the circuit, but he can take this as a huge confidence boost. It's a remarkable drive from him in terms of a recovery for points, because he was staring at almost 0 points leaving this feature race. Well done to him, and he could get a few more here. Richard Fature likewise, who is now closing the gap to them. In terms of gaps out front, it is really stabilised between the top 5, and this driver, the only gap that's growing or decreasing is the one out front. Alex Dunn is charging to the lead in the championship standings.
Where is everybody? Yeah. Must be a thought. Like turning off a busy motorway onto a quiet country lane for Alex Dunn in terms of the amount of traffic out there for him. 6.2 seconds now, and that's what clearing traffic will do for you.
There's his father Noel watching on, nervously, I'm sure. He's always been by his side. A former racer himself, Noel, and on the spanners for Alex Dunn when he was in karting as well. Sure, he knows what it's like to be in a race car. I'm sure more nervous watching on from pit lane, seeing if Alex can go by now and get his 2nd feature race win this season. And I'm sure the McLaren team watching on as well. Zach Brown was quick to congratulate Alex Dunn on his performances. He had a really tricky Formula 3 season last year. We can't forget the achievements Alex Dunn made. He won in Formula 4. Titles there, British F4, challenge for the Italian F4 title, won in GB3 championship there. Just didn't work out for him in Formula 3. Came up to Formula 2, and he's demonstrating his credentials from those junior Formula now.
One of those drivers, a bit like Paul Aaron, who just took off with more power underneath the right foot, Alex Dunn. And has demonstrated it today. Green middle sector for him last time around with a relatively aged soft tyre. Very, very impressive. The main battle in this leading 5 or 6 now is Crawford pursuing Fornaroli. That's what we're watching. 0.8 of a second between the two of them. Crawford will get DRS this time around, but I don't think he's going to necessarily be able to make the move. Lindblad is ever so slightly quicker than Bogdanovic. In fact, he's decently quick, but took 0.4 of a second out of him last time around. So let's see if he can get that car, that Campos, within DRS range of the high-tech.
A 1.1 second gap for Lindblad to the car ahead on the last lap. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? It's exactly the situation he found himself in yesterday. We watched the yellow Invicta of Fornaroli. Hugely consistent this season. Crawford's just coming alive this season now. It's going to be 3 points finishes in a row, but out front it's all been about road and motorsport. Strategy-wise, they played this perfectly, and Alex Dunn, when required, just made those moves he needed to do to get a clear road ahead and to set the lap times to get a gap.
Brushing the gravel all the way to the flag here, making absolutely sure. Bogdanovic now within a second of Browning, but it could all be too late. Lindblad definitely done his press-ups and drunk his protein shake through the winter because he's super strong at the end of these races. Impressive stuff from him. But what a sequence of overtakes from Alex Dunn as he made his way through the field. He always had an answer, didn't he, Chris?
That made all the difference for Alex Dunn today. He makes his way out of the final corner. Perfect strategy from Rodin Motorsport. Perfect performance from Alex Dunn. And he's going to charge his way to his 2nd feature race win of the season and to the top of the standings in FIA Formula 2. It's celebrations for the McLaren Junior. A huge congratulations to Alex Dunn, and it's a double podium for High-Tech. Luke Browning, his 4th podium of the Formula 2 season. He's right in contention for this championship, and Dino Bogdanovic gets a 2nd podium of the season. But well done, Rodin Motorsport. They now lead this championship with Alex Dunn.
Delight for Ben Huntingford's squad, and delight for Alex Dunn in what was a brilliant, brilliant drive. Earned the way we love to see it, wheel to wheel throughout the race. McLaren will be extremely impressed with that kind of racing.
He is showing very good pace, growing into this season all the time, driving like a championship leader. That had everything to it of a drive of a championship leader, didn't it? got the moves done when he needed to at the end, took advantage of the safety car as well, and that made all the difference in what was a 6-car fight at one time. They were all nose to tail. When the safety car came out, Alex Dunn made the moves and got the gap, got the win.
Yes, mate. Well done. Oh, let's go. Good job, guys. That was unbelievable once again. Oh, I love you guys.
Vaulting himself up the Drivers' Championship as well in what is still the relatively early stages of the season. Round 4 of 14, this one in Imola, but even still, great to take a points lead as we continue on through this European season.
P2, mate, what a drive, well done. Dino P3, fantastic job, very, very good.
Oh, yes, boys! That was fun. That was really fun. Oh, great car, well done. From P7. That's the point scoring weekend, well done, boys.
4 podiums now for Luke Browning. He's having some season. That's a double podium for him this weekend as well. He was 3rd yesterday, 7th through to 2nd today. And the Ferrari Driver Academy member didn't quite get from pole to the win today, but this will feel special as a Ferrari Driver Academy member to take pole at Imola.
Yeah, great to race here. And will stand on the podium in front of his home crowd. Managed to hang on from a late charge. Limbrad quick, Fornaroli quick. Fornaroli did manage to hang on in the end from Crawford, who was putting him under a little bit of pressure to the end of the race. A second exactly, the gap between those two across the line. 6.5 seconds, eventually, the winning margin for Alex Dunn. After a safety car where he did not have a tyre advantage over those who were following him. He simply had the hard-earned track position through the pit stop phase and disappeared.
Alex Dunn rolls into